Hello. Welcome
Hello.
to Kindly Neurodivergent with Kay. This show is to spend quality time with each other, kindly discussing the similarities and wide range of differences we experience. The experiences we discuss on this show are for educational purposes only. Please do not substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Before we begin, I respectfully request that if you witness any pauses during this show, please continue watching. I'm composing a spontaneous comment or question, someone processing their thoughts, in addition to repeating something that was unintelligible or misunderstood. It is natural discourse, and we can choose not to say anything while this is occurring. Today I have Janessa Webb with me. She is here to discuss self-acceptance, navigating autism, ADHD, and mental health. Janessa Webb is a neurodivergent individual who is imaginative and original. She is a digital creator, coffee lover, designer, and snuggler with her furry crew. Welcome, Janessa.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
Please introduce yourself.
Yes, of course. Hello, my name's Janessa. As we already introduced ourselves, well, mostly myself, I am a autistic individual who is very creative, that loves coffee and enjoys being with her furry crew.
I love coffee too.
Yeah, it's really good. I love regular. Do you like regular?
No.
That's okay.
Flavor.
Um, I'm mostly it's irregular. I don't really have a flavor. Maybe it's breakfast blend.
Talk about your experiences with being diagnosed with autism at a young age.
At a young age. Okay. So I would have to say, I think I was diagnosed when I was like maybe around 6 or later. It's very hard to remember since it was a long time ago, like late 90s, early 2000s. I would have to say I grew up with speech therapy. I did have some cognitive therapy where I had to learn how to tie shoes for my hands because I was having issues with motor skills at the time. Um, yeah, let's see, what else should I say? My speech, I would have to say it feels like it's been many years since I had to work with it throughout elementary school and into high school. And then till now, I don't have a speech therapist, but my speech has gotten a lot better, but there are still some challenges where I do have to like figure out what I'm trying to say, how to say it, how to pronounce certain words. Um, ADHD was also diagnosed, I think, earlier on, but then I think it was officially diagnosed a few years ago during the pandemic. And that actually helped me realize, okay, so that's what I have, but I think I've had it the whole time, just a different type of it. What else should I say? I'm just thinking of what else we could say here. So I would have to say that recently I was diagnosed with a depressive disorder, and that actually was a relief. To some people I've told, some of my friends, they're like, that's not good. And I'm like, no, it's fine. It's a relief actually, because it helps me understand why I'm feeling this way and what I can do to cope with it. So I would write in my journal, I'll take like a medication if I have to. I talk to people if I really need to, like really close friends, especially there's one out there right now that I'm close to, and he's been very supportive too.
Hmm.
Why weren't you diagnosed until 6?
Wait, I'm sorry?
Why weren't you diagnosed until 6?
I think because at the time autism was known as high functioning, and during the time the DSM was not updated until 2013. So at the time when they had that as labeled as high functioning, that is where that part of autism is where things don't show till later on, I have to say. Motor skills and certain other challenges don't really show until somewhere around maybe kindergarten is my guess. I think it's very different now though.
It is good that you did not find your depression disorder negative.
Thank you. I'm actually glad because I know some people have, when they find out, they get upset, but there's no reason to be upset when you have a condition like that.
Hmm.
Discuss the difficulties you faced in school and how you proved doctors wrong by finishing high school.
Oh, yeah. So this is something I have been dealing with, I think, since I started grammar school, actually. There were doctors out there that did not believe, excuse me, that I could actually get through high school or even college because of how I was functioning at the time and because of my condition. They're like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. But I proved them wrong. And then when I went into high school, I really wanted to go to college. And at the time, I was thinking about being a teacher before I decided to like switch gears a little bit with art. And at the time, there were some teachers in high school that did not really approve of the idea of me going to college because they thought I couldn't even handle the idea of going. And I proved them wrong, basically. I just went to college and got an associate's and then got a bachelor's degree, a master's, now another associate's, and probably maybe another master's degree, but maybe, who knows? Yeah.
What were your barriers?
My barriers, I would have to say, were people who really didn't have belief in me that I could do certain things. Um, I think the other issue I had was my anxiety throughout my childhood. I would probably also have to say my depression, but that wasn't until like over the pandemic, I think, is when it started.
What helped you overcome?
I would have to say people who believed in me. I've had people that I looked up to, I still look up to this day, especially when it comes to art, that really helped me as well. So I would have to say that and my art is what really helped me out.
Share how your ADHD and generalized anxiety disorder diagnosis affected your daily life.
How did it? Um, I mean, there would be times where I would, well, sometimes, and I think I still do it, sometimes I get very clumsy. I tend to knock stuff over when I'm not paying attention.
Mm.
Um, Sometimes I get really anxious, like I'll tend to overthink things before I don't even realize it. So there are times when that happens, I have to find a way to ignore it or try to write it down or try to talk to someone when I deal with that.
I think everyone has a little bit of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Explain how societal norms, like having a family or a traditional job, made you feel like you weren't measuring up.
Um, that's a really great question. I like that. So, I guess based on the norms with the family, I mean, I found it helpful, I would have to say. I mean, that's all I can really, how I can respond to it.
Delve into the emotional and mental challenges of accepting who you are in the face of societal pressures.
Acceptance into the emotions.
Mm.
Oh, okay. I guess when it comes to society, hopefully I have this question answered okay. Um, I would have to say that when it comes to society and emotions, I have learned to accept the fact that there might be times where I may not be myself in public, but you may not see it, but I do feel it. There was this YouTube series I watched. It's called To Hear Man, and there was an episode or something about how you should basically not judge someone based on what's going on because you have no idea where they're coming from, like what their situation is. And it's really inspirational to see like what kind of actors and actresses he uses in the video to spread the word. The best thing I've learned too
Point.
is yeah. The best thing I've learned too is that I've always tell certain people that you shouldn't go to approach someone if they're in a situation where they're really upset about something. Don't go, "Are you okay?" Be like, "What can I do to help?" Because it's just the best scenario to help with certain situations like that. You don't want to say something that's gonna like make the issue worse. Worse.
But sometimes people can't help.
Sometimes people can or can't.
No.
Yes, that's true.
What would you say?
Why would I say?
What would you say if people can't help?
If people can't help, depending on the situation, I would probably be nice and approach by saying, if you can't help, please just don't bother, or please don't get in the way, in a way that's appropriate and that doesn't offend the person.
Or don't stare.
That's the other thing too, yes.
Discuss any personal struggles with mental health, including your battle with depression last year, and how that tied into self-acceptance.
Um, let's see. So I would have to say, I think most of my battles would be probably right after college when I started. Well, when the pandemic started, I was home all the time. I did go to school to get my master's degree, which is a good choice. Um, I think throughout the last few years, that's where I started noticing different things going on with me. Like, I thought I was burning myself out from drawing all the time, and then I think the last couple of years till now, I've noticed that my behavior was a little bit off, and that's when I like I've mentioned, I have depression. So once I found out, it was a good relief, and we already know that's a good thing. So I would have to say since then, I have been trying to get, I did like a genetic testing for depression to see, like, well, mainly for medications to see what works, what doesn't work. And, yeah, so lately I do talk to people, especially if I'm like having my ups and downs. There'll be times where I'm just not myself. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Like, I feel so, like, I feel like I'm gonna cry, but I won't. And there'll be times where I'm like, okay, I feel good. So it's like, I learn to see where my moods are going. It's like, it goes back and forth, back and forth. So I have to write everything down. And also my ADHD, there'll be times where I tend to get really, well, people call it impulsive behavior, but in my case, I don't think impulsive is a bad thing. It depends on the situation. But if I think to me that means more like you're being repetitive about something, or something's really bothering you, you can't let go. There's been instances of that a couple of times recently, but all I'm going to say about that is I'm able to learn from that. I'm not going to say what happened. I'm just going to say I've learned from it, and the person I've been talking to has been really helpful with that understanding of me. So,
Can you predict it?
can I predict my depression? To be honest, there are gonna be times where I may not even know when it's gonna happen, but all I can really do is just go by the day and see what happens. And there was a time where I asked myself, should I make myself a kit in case? And I'm like, no, I think you know what to do. You got a journal, you got people who are very supportive, so as long as you have that, those are your tools to help you.
I'm glad.
Thank you.
Share the turning point when someone special helped you shift your perspective on self-acceptance.
So actually this happened last year, and I think it still happens right now. So last year, there's this really good friend of mine who, well, to this day is doing really well, is very creative type of person. And let's just say he helped me when I was at my lowest point. Not like anything bad, but let's just say I was having a day where I was just really upset with everything because I wasn't sure what to do. And this person was really good about like saying, I think you can do it. Things will get better. You could do this. You can do that. Like I think you can. And I'm like, yeah, I think I can. So since then I've been doing it, and I've been pushing myself, and I try not to like let those get in the way.
Talk about how this person's acceptance helped you find love for yourself.
Learning from the person based on like how they talk with you and saying even if they're not in person with you or they're not there with you, there's a way that they connect with you, even if it's online. They have the way the person talks to me is very friendly. Even if the person doesn't understand where I'm coming from, at least they listen, and that's all I care about. Like, I don't expect someone to be a professional.
Mm.
Everyone has a different points of view.
Yes, they do. I actually do agree about that.
Reflect on how their support guided you toward realizing that being true to yourself is more valuable than meeting external expectations.
Just basically being honest to yourself and just, letting yourself feel when you're having your ups and downs and keep moving forward. That's what he did to help me, and I thank him for that.
Define what self-love means to you and how it became a cornerstone for your self-acceptance.
I would have to say self-love is where you learn to accept who you really are. You are easy on yourself. There are times where I'm going to say I'm not always easy on myself, but I should be because there's so much to me that is self-worth of celebrating, I would have to say. I would have to say other than that, that's what I think self-love is, and I think learning that will help you succeed in life too.
Share any practices, thoughts, or strategies that helped you embrace your authentic self, for example, positive affirmations, mindfulness, therapy, etc.
I would have to say definitely what helps me and I think could help others. And also I would have to say this, but always find ways to take breaks in between when you're really busy with something or you're stressed out. Just take a break, go for a walk, write something down, do some artwork. Always talk to someone. That's the biggest thing too. That's something I've been trying to learn over the course of the pandemic. I remember ignoring everyone because of how we were all quarantined, and to this day I've learned that it's not okay to ignore people, like not in a way to like not stop talking to them, but where you don't respond back, but more like you don't talk to anyone because you can't go out kind of deal. So I would have to say, to this day, it's important to stay close to people who are really good to you, who are always there for you, and that do care for you, even if you don't see it. That's something I'm trying to learn because if I don't see it, I feel kind of bad about it, and I'm like, okay. So that's the biggest thing is you want to make sure you have connections that you're close to that you can go to for anything that happens during your lifetime.
Balance of all things.
Yes. And always writing stuff down is a big one too.
How can people protect themselves?
Um, Depending on the situation and when it comes to protecting yourself, the best thing you could do is find people that you're close to, like a very close network that you trust. Don't rely on people that you can't trust because if they don't want to listen to or believe in what you have to say, this is something I've been learning recently, but if they don't believe in you, because of something that happened. All you have to basically tell yourself is, do I really want to be with people like that, or be with those who really understand and believe you? And then from there, you can move on, and you're able to be protected because you're with people who actually trust you and know what you're dealing with.
That is very important as some are two-faced.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Reflect on how you've grown since accepting yourself.
The one thing I have to say about that, which first of all, that's really good to have a question about. I would have to say we all still grow to this day. Even if we have grown so much to this day, we still are learning as we do grow. I would have to say I've learned pretty well, I think, since I was really little. I've learned to overcome many obstacles, as I've mentioned, and I've been told out of most students in school that I tend to be the most work-hearted person because I take more time. Even though I take more time than most people, I tend to put in the most effort and I don't give up, unlike other people who do give up because they're worried, or they're basically worried that they cannot get through. And there have been people like that I've encountered, I've tried to help. So that's something unique about me, is that I don't give up. I tend to be very passionate about what I'm doing.
We never stop learning.
Exactly. And that's why I love going to school so much.
Discuss any breakthroughs in understanding yourself better through your diagnoses and personal journey.
Wow, that's a really good question. I like that. So, I would say my breakthrough, oh gosh, there's probably a lot of them. I probably can't even remember since I was a kid. Um, I think I remember being able to accomplish well in math. That's one of the biggest breakthroughs I had, because math has been, it's a big issue, or big challenge, I should say, for everyone, not just myself, but it took me a couple years to take a math class in college, just because I needed all the preparation, and I had to take the placement test 3 times to get into a math class. Before that, the other breakthrough was that I was 10 points on my AccuPlacer test, which is a placement test. I was actually 10 points closer to a college level English course. And then I spent maybe about a year taking remedial courses to prepare for college. And then I went straight into college courses right after that. So I think the other breakthrough was I was able to get through college for 2 years at the community college. Then I transferred to a 2 year, and I actually lived on campus for the very first time. And it was scary at first, but I was able to successfully be on my own because I had the support I needed. And I have a master's degree, so that's another breakthrough. Um, I'm able to do certain things like that on my own. Like, I'm able to fill out paperwork if I need to. I'm able to, pretty much what I just said is what I'm able to break through.
English was the hardest for me. I love math.
Oh, that's really cool. Are you into like advanced math, or?
I took pre-calculus.
Oh, that's really cool. I heard that's a really challenging type of math, but that's really nice that you actually like that.
Yeah.
Share how these lessons have shaped your identity and outlook on life.
Um, I would say it helps me see who I am. It helps me realize what's going on in life. I am still learning, like, about what's going on. Other than that, I would have to say it just helped me see who I really am, where I stand, what I need to do next, and how to move forward.
Yeah.
Offer practical advice for others on their own journey to self-acceptance, especially those with similar diagnoses or challenges.
Learning to not be hard on yourself, I would have to say, definitely do not be hard on yourself, especially if you're trying to work really hard. Don't pressure yourself to work twice as hard, because if you're already working hard as it is, there's no need to put the extra stress on yourself. Another thing is, don't overthink things that aren't even there. Always look to see if it's actually true, and learning to really just try to stay as positive as you can. Don't be negative thinking everything's gonna end, which it won't. There are ways to be positive no matter what. I have friends that always say stay positive, and I even have that one true friend who said never give up. Basically, what I mean is don't ever give up on your dreams, especially if you're having your down days and you feel like it's never gonna happen. It will happen.
Yeah.
What is your definition of hard and positive?
Of what positive?
Hard.
What is your definition of hard and positive?
Hard and positive? Okay, so that's a good question. I would have to say just being really positive is my assumption to that.
Encourage people to find their worth beyond society's expectations, and to focus on the importance of understanding and loving themselves.
Ah, I see. That makes sense. Yes.
What would you say to someone?
Um, I would say never give up on what you really want to do. Don't let someone judge you just because of what you're going through or what's going on in your life that they may not know about. Always stand up for yourself. Don't let people push you down or make you feel like you're something you're not. And don't be friends with people who are putting pressure on you and making you feel bad for something you didn't mean to do that actually happened, I would have to say.
Thank you, Janessa, for doing this with me.
Of course,
It was great to
anytime.
have you on.
Yes,
Please
thank you
share
so
this
much.
show with your family and friends.
Yes, that will be
Everyone
great.
watching, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and share on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.